Ever tried, mixing oil and water? Like they don't mix, right?
Right.
Well, that's kind of what we're diving into today, but for relationships.
Okay.
We're talking Aries and Cancer compatibility, and trust me, it's way more complicated, way more interesting than those basic sun sign descriptions.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, actually. You have Aries, our fire sign, all about like immediate action, act first, maybe think later.
Yeah.
And then Cancer, total opposite end of the spectrum, water sign.
Yeah.
All about like navigating the world through those deep emotions, security, that's their jam.
Totally. And we're supposed to believe these two are gonna build a life together. But hold on, before we completely write this off as a relationship dumpster fire, we found something, well, unexpected. Cancer, home, family, nurturing. Our sources are calling them extremely asexual.
Oh, wow.
They even link it to this whole idea of, like, it's hard to see your parents as sexual beings, right?
Right.
I guess. I don't know about you, but asexual is not, like, the first thing I think about with Cancer. What's the deal here?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that makes you stop and think, but it actually speaks to like a much deeper dynamic going on with Cancer. It's not that they lack, sexuality. It's more about how deeply their emotional needs are tied to intimacy. To them, physical connection, it's all about vulnerability, trust, deep security. It goes way beyond just the physical act.
So less about the act itself, more about the emotional dance leading up to it.
Exactly. And this is where things can get a little tricky with an Aries. Aries is super passionate, but also very direct, often driven by instinct. This straightforwardness is great in a lot of situations, but with intimacy, especially when you haven't really addressed those deep emotional needs, it can lead to misunderstandings.
Big time.
Yeah.
And speaking of misunderstandings, can we talk about trust? And I don't mean like the who are you texting kind of trust issues. Our sources pointed out something way more interesting. Apparently the whole like tell it like it is Aries style can feel like a personal attack to a sensitive Cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Like their words are a battering ram when that was never the intention.
It all comes down to, well, how differently these signs communicate their emotions, right? How they like perceive those emotions, their love languages, if you will. Aries. Think grand gestures,
Yeah.
acts of service, maybe a spontaneous adventure.
Right, right.
Cancer, they need those words of affirmation, constant reassurance. It's the little things for them, the I'm thinking about you gestures.
It's like they're speaking two totally different languages.
Totally.
No wonder there's so much static.
Exactly. And when those love languages aren't in sync, that's when the trust issues start. Even if everything is totally innocent, Aries is left wondering what went wrong while Cancer is feeling hurt, questioning, if they can really trust their partner.
So not just miscommunication, it's like intention versus impact, which is a whole other beast.
Exactly.
That's rough.
Yeah, you said it. It's like walking on eggshells, but the eggshells are landmines and you're blindfolded.
Yikes. Okay.
And to make it even more interesting, both of these signs, super impulsive.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Our sources said their communication is like a tennis match where both players are trying to hit the ball before it even bounces.
Oh, that's a recipe for disaster. Just a mess of missed volleys and let me finish.
Exactly. And it's not just the impulsivity, intellectually. Super different interests.
So tell me more about this.
Both signs are smart, they're capable, but their whole approach to the world, totally different. Aries, they're all about action, direct experience, consequences. Who cares?
Right.
Cancer wants to understand the world, but through emotions and connections. They need that depth.
So while Aries is out there climbing mountains, Cancer is like writing poetry about the experience.
Pretty much.
Okay.
And that can be tough. Imagine Aries is all excited about their latest adventure, and Cancer seems withdrawn, lost in their feels. Not a good combo. Can lead to resentment if they're not careful.
Definitely a recipe for some misunderstandings.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we've got the communication clashes, the emotional roller coaster, the different intellectual vibes. Sounds like constant arguments waiting to happen.
Right.
But then our sources hit us with this. We think of Aries as passionate but emotionally unavailable, right?
Yeah.
Cancer is all hard on their sleeve. But apparently, Aries actually has really high emotional expectations.
Interesting.
Which seems kind of contradictory, right?
It's true, though. It's one of those weird things about them. On the surface, tough, independent, guarded, but underneath, deeply emotional.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The problem is vulnerability. Terrifying for them.
So it's not that they don't want to connect, it's that actually being vulnerable is scary.
Exactly. They see it as weakness. and weakness, not an option.
Uh-huh.
So opening up, even to someone they love, it's tough.
Wow.
And that's the total opposite of Cancer. Cancer is all about emotional honesty. Being vulnerable is like their superpower.
Right. It's like in their blood.
For sure.
Right.
They lead with their hearts. They crave emotional safety, authenticity. So being open is easy, which can backfire with the guarded Aries.
Oof, yeah. So Cancer is pouring their heart out, looking for that emotional connection, and Aries is building walls.
Unfortunately, sometimes.
Ouch. That's rough. It's kind of sad when you think about it, like one step forward, two steps back. Can they ever really get on the same page emotionally? I mean, that's the question, right? For any couple. How do you take those differences and make them work?
It's a question we all face. Astrology aside, And for Aries and Cancer, well, it takes effort. You have
Yeah.
to see the differences as like opportunities, not deal breakers. Because believe it or not, this clash of values can actually help them grow together and individually.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Growth potential. Right now, I'm just seeing red flags.
Picture this. Aries is all energy, right? Always pushing forward. That can help Cancer tap into their own strength, get them out of their comfort zone. And Cancer, they're all about emotional well-being, finding balance. They can teach Aries to slow down, to, nurture themselves a little.
So less about one person changing, more about recognizing those differences are actually like superpowers. They complete each other.
Exactly. It's about finding that place where both people feel appreciated for who they are, even the weird stuff. Which, by the way, can be tricky with everyday life. Our sources didn't exactly paint a rosy picture there.
Right. It was kind of funny to imagine Aries wants to climb mountains, Cancer wants to curl up with a good book.
Right.
Talk about a clash of styles.
Compromise is key, but they can find common ground, they just have to get a little creative.
Okay, so maybe not mountain climbing. What about, like, dancing? Good workout for Aries, but also emotional, expressive.
There you go. See? It's about finding those things that speak to both of them, even if it's in different ways. Maybe it's trying new food. Aries is adventurous. Cancer loves a good sensory experience.
Right.
Or live music. Aries gets that energy from the crowd. Cancer connects to the emotional side of it all.
So the takeaway here, even if this pairing seems intense, it's not about compatible or not compatible. It's bigger than that, right?
Yeah.
Every relationship takes work. You got to be willing to embrace the differences. That's what makes life interesting.
Exactly. And this whole deep dive into Aries and Cancer, it reminds us relationships shouldn't be about finding someone just like us. We need someone who challenges us,
Makes us grow.
And maybe those opposites attract situations, those oil and water combos. They end up being the most amazing, life-changing connections. We just have to be open to it. So the next time you're wondering if two people are compatible, remember, it's not about checking boxes. It's about being open to the unknown, talking to each other, being kind. And honestly, seeing those differences as something beautiful. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
And there you have it. Another deep dive